Okay, before we get started, two really important things to know. One, I'm about to contradict myself a lot. And two, I'm totally guilty of a lot of this. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shauna, and if you're new here, we're a homeschooling family of 4. We have done this for 8 years. We have a 7th grader and a 3rd grader. And today, I just want to discuss, why are we cutting childhood short? Before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. I know that this isn't going to be a definitive all-in discussion of this, but I hope it does start or spark a discussion. So if anything strikes you, if you feel like anything needs to be elaborated on, head down to the comments and let me know what it is. Also, again, I'm going to contradict myself and I'm going to be honest with you. I am guilty of so much of this, but that doesn't mean that I want to be, or that in my ideal self as parent that I'm doing what I want to be doing. I also do not mean this as a criticism. If you are guilty of some of these things, like I said, I absolutely am guilty. But I want to start the conversation of why are we cutting childhood short? Because I really think that we are. Because things are changing. And I don't know that they're changing for good. And I think we're still at a place where it is, for lack of a better term, salvageable, that we get back to some of the really, really big benefits of childhood for our kids. So let's jump in. So this discussion isn't if we are cutting childhood short. This discussion is about why. Why are we cutting childhood short? So let's just look into that a little bit. And I think there's a few big ways that we are cutting childhood short. A few big ways that I think we can really talk about, just kind of broad categories here. One of them is academics. Why are we pushing children harder, farther, earlier than ever before? 2, activities. Why are we over scheduling children? Again, guilty. And 3 is technology use and what that means in cutting childhood short. So let's start with academics. I am guilty of this, but I feel like I'd be so much worse if I were a public school parent, because I think, knowing what I know about myself, I would definitely fall into more of the comparisons, right? So where is my kid in the class rankings? Where is my kid as far as testing? How did my kid do versus some of the other kids? I think I would do that very much. And even having cousins our same age, when things were brought up like, oh, so-and-so has this reading level, I'd be like, because I don't know what our reading level is. I just know that they can read. Like, I don't know how it, marks out on Lexile scores or anything like that. It is nice that I'm ignorant to a lot of those things, and I think that has allowed me to not hyperfixate on some of that, because the competition is real. The desire to keep up, the desire to outperform, the desire to show off, especially in today's highly, highly saturated social media world. And we'll get to that in just a minute. So I think that pushing for more and more formal education earlier. For example, does kindergarten need to be full day with no nap? I don't think so. Do kids need to be reading? Is it developmentally appropriate for all of children to be reading at 4 and 5 years old? No, some kids do, and that's great. Does it mean you're behind if you don't? No, it doesn't. And if you don't know, the CDC did recently change their recommendations. I don't know how you feel about that, because I think they might be a little low for what I would think would be norm. But if that's the new litmus, it is what it is, right? If children aren't walking by a certain age or crawling by a certain age, if they are seeing more people who aren't, it does make sense to change the scale. But is there, like, what's the cause? What's the cause? What's the need for changing that scale would be my question. So let's talk about activities. And I'm guilty of this. You guys know we danced for a long time. It is a very slippery slope to go from like one class of something a week to being like, oh, but there's an opportunity. Oh, but they need to add tap. Oh, but they need to add jazz. Oh, but here's the thing. Oh. And before you know it, you are dropping gobs and gobs of money. All of your free time is spent in a studio or a dojo or a class or at rehearsals, and you just truly start to miss out on that time with your family and with a kid. And again, guilty, absolutely guilty. But I wish it wasn't that way. I feel like when we were young, it was possible to do Little League and just go for, your 1 hour practice and then your game. And now there's no such thing. It feels like there's no such thing as just recreational kids activities. It all has to be in service to something more. And I don't know if that's our own desires for greatness or that competition that I talked about. And I don't know if it is because we want to feel like we're getting something out of it because we've invested money. I don't know what it is. Or maybe it's our own unrequited childhood issues where we wish somebody would have done it for us. But how did we get to the point where it snowballs into 6-7 days a week and 4 hours a day and all of that? All of these kids are not going on to be professional ball players, okay? All of these kids aren't going on to be prima ballerinas. So why are we pushing all of that? And in pushing that, we are robbing our children of family time, of playtime. Playtime is so incredibly important, and of free time. Do you remember being bored? Do you remember going outside to play? Do you remember running around? Not everything has to be a structured activity, a structured play date. I have found, again, guilty, that in trying to make sure that my kids are having activities with other kids, we'll schedule things, schedule a zoo date, things like that. Do you know what they want to do? They want to run around like feral little animals around a park and have open-ended play. So I am trying to do a better job of metering myself with scheduling activities and just making a point to let them play, making a point to let them sleep in, to have downtime, to have family time, family movie nights, family hangout times. It is becoming so rare that I'm seeing my own kids, other kids allowed to just have free time. And I don't understand why. I don't see the benefit of Sephora kids or missing out on those awkward tween years. I don't see the benefit to having a kid have a phone in 3rd and 4th grade. I don't see a benefit of having our kids have exposure to adult content, to things that their brains can't possibly wrap around. You guys know I have partnered with Bark in the past. I absolutely love Bark. It is an amazing asset to have. But there are also free services that will help you monitor your kids' devices. And it's not just one device, it's all devices. And it is not just one app, okay? So I can say social media and you think Instagram or you think TikTok is unsafe for kids. But did you know Roblox? Roblox is unsafe, okay? And again, all of these things have ways to make them safer. But I would argue that anytime anyone, even people you know and love, have access to your children, you are running that risk of them becoming victims in some way or another. You guys know we're in Houston, and I'm seeing more and more stories of 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girls who have gotten themselves into a situation, not victim blaming, absolutely not victim blaming. Hang on. So I'm seeing more and more reports of girls who have gotten themselves into situations, and I am absolutely not victim blaming because these children are victims. If a 12-year-old girl voluntarily goes somewhere with a grown man, that child is a victim. Okay, it is still kidnapping in my book. It is not okay. It is never a good situation when children are being made to believe that someone is something they are not before their brain is fully formed enough to understand the consequences of those decisions. And it is increasingly so. And it is through Instagrams and Roblox and YouTubes and all of the things where we as parents are not doing our best job of monitoring those things. And that is because there is earlier and earlier and earlier access to the scary, dark corners of the world. So not only are we cutting childhood short by providing them with Xbox Live or the meta games or Facebook accounts or things like that, we then aren't doing our best job of making sure that they understand the realities and the responsibilities that come with those kinds of things. So we have to be doing our part as parents to watch children. And like I said, I love Bark, but there's also Google Family Link. There's a lot of iPad controls. So you need to be using something. So often, so many things now are targeting our children. And I'm not making this up. This is not a conspiracy theory. It has been proven, and there's whistleblowers talking about Instagram accounts and TikToks targeting children and feeding them bad information, scary information, self-harm information. Again, I'm not making this up and I'm not exaggerating. We need to be doing our part as parents to make sure that our kids are prepared for the later world. And the best thing that we can do for them now is to not cut their childhood short. So how can we not cut their childhood short? We don't need to be preparing our 5-year-old for college. We just don't. We need our kids to have more free time play. And I firmly believe that through homeschooling, we, one, keep our kids not sheltered, because I don't think my kids are sheltered, but we keep them a bit more insulated from that kind of dog eat dog world and the one-upsmanship and so much of the bullying and fears and craziness that does come just simply from exposure to more kids that happens in public schools. I'm not saying public schools are bad. I'm not saying public school kids are bad. I'm just saying I think homeschooled kids get a lot more insulation from a lot of those things. Why does it matter? Why does it matter if we're cutting childhood short? Because kids are getting into bigger concerns, bigger issues, bigger problems, bigger worries, a higher rate of depression, a higher rate of self-harm earlier and earlier than ever before. They need to run outside and play. They need to be given free time. They need to be bored. And I have always been a huge fan of not stuffing my child's face with a screen at the slightest discomfort or boredom. I encourage my kids to be, you want to have something to do, take a book. We have never, as parents, taken screens to a table. And there are times, if I'm flying on an airplane, here's a movie, bud, here is a movie. But if I am pushing my kid in a stroller at Disney, they don't have a screen in their face. Why? Because we're at Disney, man, come on. We don't allow, and we never have, so the expectation isn't there that they have a screen with every sit-down meal that we have. They've learned how to behave at a restaurant. It is so important. And part of this, guys, is not just children. Adults need to learn how to be bored again too, because the first thing that we'll do, and again, guilty, total hypocrite here, pick up my phone as soon as I get bored because I need something to do. Absolutely guilty of it. I'm sad that we're cutting childhood short, and I'm sad for my kids, and I'm sad for every kid I know, and I'm sad for their kids, because if we're already cutting childhood short, what does that look like? And also for us as parents, what are we missing out on by cutting our kids' childhood short? It shouldn't be crazy or out of the norm that my 12-year-old still wants to play with dolls. That should be celebrated. And I know that part of it is she has a sister who's significantly younger than her, which allows her that freedom to pull back and to still do those things. But when we as a parent are encouraging them to do things beyond their years, to watch older things, to adhere to older standards, to get rid of the toys and get them out of the house because we're done having them, or sure, let's wear a crop top and short shorts, and yeah, let's get our nails done and our hair done and watch YouTube videos and communicate with strangers on the internet and play the high violence video games. What are we doing, not just to our children, but to ourselves when we're robbing ourselves of parenthood, guys? Because The shorter we cut that childhood, whether it's increased focus on academics or decreasing free time or decreasing family time, when we're cutting their childhood short, we're cutting our parenthood short. And I don't know about you, but I really like mine. I like my kids. I like spending time with them. I like helping them grow. I like watching them do things. And I think there is a way. I'm not saying don't prepare your kids for the world. Teach them to cook. Teach them to clean. Teach them how to take care of themselves. Don't let them be naive in a world that is set out hell-bent on taking advantage of them. But what I am saying is to let them have their childhood, play the games, build the Legos, let them dress up and head out and trick or treat for Halloween. Don't rob them of their childhood and you of your parenthood. You only get it for so long. It is so short. Let them believe in things a little longer. Don't discourage that. Let them be happy, celebrate the joys, be nonsensical, read books out loud, even long after they need you to read books out loud. Cuddle them, hug them, love them. Don't cut their childhood short. It robs everybody. It robs 2 generations when you do. Play outside, swing on the swing, be goofy, blow bubbles, do things significantly under their ages. Let them be little. I promise you, if we can do some of these things together, the whole world will be a better place, guys. I really think so. Keep them on PBS so much longer. PBS is so good. It is incredibly sad that we no longer value free play, things that help develop problem-solving skills, build self-confidence. I wish we weren't cutting childhood short. And again, I'm guilty of it. I absolutely am. And I wonder why, as a society, we feel the need to do it. Is it because we need entertainment and so we're pushing them off on screens a little earlier so we don't have to do it? Are we just shirking our responsibilities as an entire generation of parents? I think probably. Is it because we didn't get as much of that, being the latchkey kid generation, that we just don't think it's as important? We're doing a little better than our parents and that's good enough? I think there's a much bigger conversation to be had here. And so I hope that we have it. And I know that I struggle with things all the time. Too young, too old, too young, too old, too young, too old. I hope that we're doing right by our kids. I'm certainly trying my best, which I do think is the marker of a good parent, if you're just trying your best. But I don't know. I don't know what this means for the world, for society, for life. But take a minute and evaluate. Why are we cutting childhood short? I don't know. Guys, I hope that you found it as helpful, entertaining, or informative. I do hope that it sparks a bigger conversation. If you have anything to add, write on down in the comments. Guys, as always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram. Please scroll down, give this video a thumbs up, turn on the bell for notifications, and let me know. Let me know how you feel down there. Why are we cutting childhood short? Why? Why are we robbing the fun of all things? And do you think that homeschooling gives you an advantage on this? Because I know I do. Especially when kids are busy, overbooked at the end of the day. I'm like, well, at least we had all day together. When I see kids who are up and out at 6 a.m. and they're not home until 9, 10 o'clock at night, when do you see them? When do you love them? When do you enjoy them? And you only have them for such a small amount of time. I worry that we're teaching our kids unhealthy life cycles with constant stress and not having enough fun. To be honest with you, fun is kind of the point. We're only here for... So I don't know. What does this look like? What does this mean going forward? It's kind of a big deal. And I wonder about it a lot, to be quite honest with you. Worry that I'm not doing my part. Worry about those I love and hold dear. What's going to happen? I don't know. But why? Why are we cutting childhood short? What do you think?